Hey guys, so I was recording a song the other day in my home studio here. Boom. And it was really hard to get a good bass sound. I was getting it all mushy and it was just not really fitting the song. So I thought it would be a good idea to do a little shootout of different ways to record the electric bass. So here it is, different DI ways to do the electric bass in your home studio. Okay guys, so here are the candidates. First, I record my bass direct to my Clarett interface. The second one is a Kemper profile for an Ampeg bass amp. Sounds good. The third one is the Sansamp Bass DI. So it's this guy right here, the workhorse in the studio or live. Then we have DI into Softube Bass Amp Room plugin in DI mode first. And the next one is the same plugin from Softube with blended mode. So we go DI plus the amp modeling. Then we have the surprise contender, which is actually Cubase's own VST Bass Amp plugin. That should be interesting to see whether it measures up or not. Then we have the DI straight into Brainworx Ampeg SVT VR plugin. That sounds awesome. Then we have finally the DI into Brainworx Ampeg SVT3 Pro plugin. So those are our contenders today, and let's see which one sounds best. I'm using the Godin shifter bass for this in the middle position closer to the bridge pickup, and I'm running everything actually through an LA2A style compressor. I just got this one from Warm Audio, it's WA2A unit, and I got the up gain at around 42 maybe, and the peak reduction is also at 42 or 43. Why did I choose 42? It's the meaning of compressors. Anyway, let's get going. I'm running everything through here, but you can get going through a plugin as well in the box and get similar results. Just take an opto compressor. That's what the great producers do anyway. Some even actually record their bass direct to a WA2A and get the signal from there, and it sounds awesome. It's been used in records for decades. Really. So, the first one is my DA to my Clarett interface. So let's start listening. What does that sound like? The DI. So that sounds pretty good. I'm not surprised the pro recording engineers have been using this simple setup for ages. I mean, this sounds pretty awesome. I could use that. I could make a record with that. I mean, seriously, that sounds pretty good. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe a little processing after this. The WA2A really smooths things out, the compressor. So it just works. Nice. Moving on. So the next one is interesting, and this was actually the one I was trying to do my previous recording with. This is the Kemper profile for an Ampeg bass amp. I'm using the Michael Britt profile. It's usually the guitar thing that you use the Kemper for, but let's try it on bass, what it sounds like. All right, I mean, that sounds pretty awesome. Yeah, it just sounds expensive. It sounds like the Ampeg really sounds I wouldn't have any qualms using this as my bass sound. Actually, I realized why I didn't get a good sound out of it before, and that was because I was not gain staging it properly. I was overdriving the bass amp, because usually when I'm playing guitar, I'm overdriving the preamp section to get some saturation and overdrive there. But this time, with this profile, it just didn't work out expected. It overdrove the bass too much. But this time I wasn't using the compressor before the Kemper, and that's why this sound just works as intended. And I must say, this is a really good sound. I probably could use this one in my production. Well, anyway, rule number 1, gain stage your signal. That's the way to go when you're recording the bass. Okay, moving on. The next one is the Sansamp Bass DI, and this one sounds like this. That's pretty cool. Man, this is pretty difficult. Trying to find the best one here. I mean, this is a touch better than going direct to my audio interface. It has some sort of definition going on. There may be a little more depth there. And even though I could do everything in post, I would probably prefer tracking through the Sansamp than direct to my Clarett, because the tone is a bit better. But the DI is not far behind. I mean, it could definitely work just like that. But I like this Sansamp, man. Let's go to the next one. So the next one is the DI into Softube Bass Amp Room plugin in DI mode. And it looks like this. This is the plugin. The secret plugin to your productions from Sean Connery. Anyway, moving on. Sounds like this. This is pretty nice. I think the tone is more manly. There's definitely some more low end there and less honk than the original DI single. I'm sure the EQ can be tweaked to taste here as well. It's a good sound. It needs some post, but man, I'm not sure which one I like most at this point. I mean, this is good as well. Nice work, Softube. Okay, so the next one is from Softube again, but this time we're using the Bass Amp Room blended with the amp sound, so it's around 50 here, as you can see. Okay, let's try that one. Yeah, man. I mean, that's pretty good. All the controls are flat here. I'm sure I would be happy with this sound. I mean, I would add a bit of high end and saturation, maybe some clarity, looking for that with some EQ. But I could definitely work with this. Nice work, Softube. Wow. Okay. Moving on. Okay, so the next one is the DI from the Vst Bass Amp. So this is from Cubase, and I didn't pay any extra for this. This is just the native Bass Amp plugin from Cubase. Oops, I need to open up the channel. Okay, try again. Okay, so I gotta admit, I wasn't expecting much from this. I mean, I'm used to those. I guess I have haunting memories from those old, like 20-year-old bass amp VSTs that are natively in the music production software. Maybe I had bad experience from that, but I was blown away by this Cubase stock app. I mean, to my ears, it has slightly less definition as it's slightly muddier than some of the other options, but it's definitely in the ballpark for a production standpoint. I mean, if I didn't have access to the other things, I would probably go for this in my productions. Wow, this definitely surprised me here. So, next one, we have the DI into the Brainworx SVT3 Pro plugin. Let's try that one. All right. Okay, so this sounded quite dark actually now, but I've heard so many good things about this, so I'm gonna take their word on this that it's awesome. And I mean, it sounds really good. I think I should add some treble here because I had a friend interning in a studio in the US, and they always crank the trebles in their bass amps and guitar amps for recording. I mean, they wanted the treble, and even from the desk they added treble after that, cranking the treble. So I'm sure this one just needs a bit of EQing. Let's try with treble. I mean, it's instantly better. I mean, this sounds awesome. I mean, I could use this anywhere, man. It's so good, man. Okay, Ampeg, you got me here. Brainworx, nice work with this one. Okay, we have some more Brainworx stuff here. This is the SVT VR. Let's try that one. And it looks like this. Once again, we'll take the secret window like this. Thank you, sir. I mean, seriously, this one is awesome. I mean, this is probably one of my favorites now. From now on, I could add some treble here. Let's see what happens if I add a treble. I mean, those producers in the US, they're spot on. I mean, adding treble this much, almost cranking it, it just does so much to the sound. I mean, seriously, that was world class. The playing, maybe not so much. It's pretty good, but you know. I mean, this one was really good sounding. I'm using the cabinet 8x10 inch. with the two Dynamics 57s there with a ribbon. So it's triple mic'd actually. I'm lucky I don't have to record that myself because the phase issues be a pain. But anyway, this sounds really good. So it's just a DI going there. And the sound is just so inspiring. I mean, with all these options, I'm sure you could use all of these and make a record and make a nice record. Just process them as they need. And they all work. Man. This day, you know, it's so awesome because you have so many options for producing your music, and it's not breaking the bank for just one thing you're using. Unlike like 50 years ago when you were running a studio, everything was so expensive, and even 20 years ago it was still pretty expensive to get all that stuff. But now we're so blessed to have all these awesome tools at our disposal to make music. So I hope this was of use to you, and have a nice day and be blessed. Bye.